Hello students, this is my third lecture on dual nature of radiation and matter. In this lecture I am going to talk with you on wave nature of matter, de Broglie's wave and its wavelength, conclusion from de Broglie's wavelength, conclusion of Davison and Germer experiment. Now move to wave nature of matter. Some phenomena of nature can be explained by using wave theory of electromagnetic radiation, like interference, diffraction and polarization. You have learnt in the dual nature. Wave theory, Huygens wave theory were used to explain interference, diffraction and polarization. But in this chapter we have seen that quantum theory is used to explain the photoelectric effect. Similarly, Compton effect, black body radiation, X-ray spectra can also be explained by using quantum theory. Thus, we can say radiation have dual nature because radiation cannot be only explained by wave theory and cannot be only explained by particle theory. Both theories can be used to explain the radiation. That's why it is we conclude that radiation have dual nature. On seeing this, de Broglie suggested that particles like electron, proton, neutron that are continuously in motion state inside the atom also have dual nature. Although they are particles, they have some mass, but during their motion, they also associate with some wave, and that wave has some wavelength. It was a suggestion by the de Broglie, and after that it was proved by the Davison and Germer in their experiment. But one thing is important to note that in not any experiment matter exists both as a particle as well as wave simultaneously. एक साथ मैटर का पार्टिकल और वेव बिहेवियर हम नहीं देख सकते किसी भी एक्सपेरिमेंट में. दोनों में से एक बार हमें देखने को मिलने वाला है. Both the aspects are complementary. Aspects means here the particle nature and wave nature are complementary to each other. This suggestion was based on the fact that nature loves symmetry and universe is made up of particles and radiation, and both entities must be symmetrical. Now move to de Broglie's wave and its wavelength. The slide here indicates that how motion of matter particle can be considered as a wave. When particle like electron revolves around the nucleus in its orbit, then its motion constitute the wave as shown in this visual. This is trough, this is trough. Distance between these two trough can be considered as a wavelength of the matter wave. De Broglie suggested that moving particle can be associated with a wave. It has been stated by me in this chapter earlier. That is, a wave can guide the motion of the particle. Thus, the wave associated with moving particle are known as de Broglie wave or matter wave. Moving particle के साथ जो wave बन रही है उसको हम de Broglie wave या matter wave कहते हैं. तो जब वेव होगी तो वेवलेंथ भी होगी, तो हमें उसका एक्सप्रेशन निकालना होगा. de Broglie वेवलेंथ के लिए एक्सप्रेशन निकालना बहुत ही आसान है. When we use quantum theory, the energy of photon can be written as this. It has been discussed. E equals to h nu or equals to hc by lambda. and again mass energy relation is equals to mc square. This is concept of wave and this is concept of particle. Now these two things can be equated, then we will have lambda equals to h upon mc. mc is the momentum of the photon and h is Planck constant, so it can be written as h upon p. Now here p is the momentum of the photon. Now this relation can be rewritten for the matter wave. What we have to change? We have to change the momentum part. This p can be replaced by mv, that is mass into velocity of the wave, mass of the matter particle and velocity of the wave. So wavelength will be lambda equals to h upon v, h upon mv. This will be the equation for de Broglie's wavelength. Now what conclusion we got from this relation? On seeing this relation, we observe that wavelength is inversely proportional to mass and wavelength is inversely proportional to velocity, because h Planck is a constant. Now we know that wavelength is inversely proportional to velocity. It means if wave travel with higher speed, the wavelength will be smaller. If wave move with a smaller speed, the wavelength will be larger. This can be interpreted here. The particle is at rest, then the wavelength will be infinite. If you put the value v equals to 0 in this relation, you will get wavelength as infinite. Now second factor, wavelength is inversely proportional to mass. It means higher the mass of the particle, smaller will be the wavelength of the matter wave, and vice versa. Heavier the particle, smaller the wavelength, and smaller the particle, larger the wavelength. One more conclusion can be drawn here, that wavelength is independent from the charge of the particle, because there is no symbol for electronic or charge of any particle. So we can say de Broglie wavelength is independent of the charge of the particle. Now one more thing that we have to know is, like electromagnetic wave, matter wave can also travel through vacuum, so it is not a mechanical wave. Mechanical wave require material medium to travel, but de Broglie wave or matter wave do not require any material, any medium to travel. It is also a non-electromagnetic wave because they are not produced by accelerating charges. Thus, we can conclude that matter waves are probability waves, amplitude of which gives the probability of existence of particle at the point. It is very important reason. Now move to conclusion from Davison-Germer experiment. As I have already told you that this experiment has been omitted from explanation point of view, so I am just bringing your attention towards the conclusion part. The conclusion part suggests that when a beam of electron is emitted from an electron gun, just visualize it in your mind. There is a beam of electron that emits electron, and that electron can be given high energy through an attachment. Now that beam of electron is made to fall on nickel crystal. Nickel crystal just scattered the beam of electron in different direction, and around that crystal a detector is used to rotate. That detector receives the scattered electrons, and thus the energy of beam of electron can be changed by changing applied voltage in electron gun. It is observed from the experiment that intensity of scattered beam of electron is found to be maximum when scattering angle is 50 degree and scattering potential is 54 volts. Now, if we use the de Broglie hypothesis and substitute these values, that is lambda equals to h upon 2 MeV. Here, if we substitute 54 for V and M for mass of electron and E for charge, then we will have a wavelength which is 1.67 angstrom. This wavelength is a close agreement with 1.65 angstrom, which is the experimental found value. So this is the importance of this experiment, that we found experimental value of wavelength 1.65 angstrom, and it is the mathematically calculated by using de Broglie's wavelength formula. Now we have few problems here that can be solved easily by using these relations. First, go through this first problem, which is state that you have to calculate the wavelength of electron through a potential difference of 100 volt that discussed in previous article. That after simplification, if we substitute the value of electron and mass of electron, then we will able to get wavelength as 1.227 upon square root V nanometer. And if we substitute the value of V, we can get what is the wavelength in nanometer. Similarly, second question is in such that you have to calculate the de Broglie wavelength of electron with kinetic energy of 120 electron volt. Again, you substitute the value of kinetic energy of electron and put the Planck constant, you will able to get the wavelength. So this is all about the dual nature of matter. I think you are able to understand the concept that I have taught you. Thank you for watching this video.